What is up, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. I'm gonna have to go find a hat because this is getting out of hand. But we are getting the figure eight car ready for hopefully this weekend. Maybe they rescheduled our race too. We had a crazy amount of rain up here in the Midwest, so a bunch of racing got canceled. So it's postponed, but we got to get a kill switch put in that, and then we got to get our beloved G body pulled out of here. And then we are going to continue on our Mazda quest. The last video that got uploaded about this car, I was pretty upset, but I just want to put it out there that it is important to work through the difficulties because life is not always going to be easy and you're going to have setbacks just like I'm having setbacks on this, but we have to continue on if we want to progress as people and our projects get done when we would like them to get done. So we're going to continue on this. I will worry about the paint at a later date. We have to get the whole entire car wired, get the dash built, get an interior in it, and all sorts of other stuff, and then we can come back and fix the paint at a later date. Mainly because paint don't win races, and that's the second failed attempt now, and I gotta get going on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing buttoned up so I can pull it out. It's just a master kill switch in the main power, super easy. Put some ring terminals on, bolt it in, away we go. And then my budget G body sitting over there. I have swapped injectors and updated the tune on it, and it's running pretty good, but the O2 sensors aren't reading for some reason. I may or may not have smoked a set of O2 sensors in all the messing around and whatnot. But worst case scenario, I've decided I will pull that drivetrain out and it is for sale. I will put the 5.3 and something else back in it, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do with that car. It's still a 12, 13 second car at the end of the day with a 5.3 in it, fully stocked. So it's not like it's slow and it's just a boring car to drive by any means. All right, it is finally Mazda time, and as you can see, there's a big old footprint in the paint that we gotta fix now because I was a tad bit angry. It is time to start ripping some of these extra lines out of here. Like this one, I don't know what it goes to. This is the new fuel line put in. I believe this is the return. I'm not real sure. And then this brake line right here over to this side will have to get fixed at some point because that is absolutely hideous and that will not work for how I roll. I'm also waiting on some 4AN hose and some fittings to get here for the clutch part. And then we can go ahead and put the motor and tranny together and put all that back into the car, get the harness installed, and go from there. But for right now, we're gonna focus on building a wiring harness for this car. And before we can run all of our wire, we're gonna need a spot that we run it from and a place to run it to. So we got a brand new fuse box. I don't remember what it costs. I will put it on the screen, and that will be added to our total at the end of the episode. I don't remember if we included the wire in it yet or not, but I got 10 rolls of wire for $35, and that is what we're gonna use to build our harness in this car. And we got a donation to the shop. My man Jack helped his dad put an LS in his El Camino, and he got us ratcheting wrenches, metric and standard. They got a lifetime warranty. I believe they came off Amazon, I'm not real sure, but that is super exciting. I have never owned ratcheting wrenches in my life. I don't even know how to feel about it. I barely know how to use them. I went ahead and picked the colors I wanted for what each light function is gonna be, and I set those wires in the trunk. And I also wrote down the colors and what they're gonna do on a notepad over on the bench. And I just strung them out loosely up into where the fuse box is gonna be. I also wanna mention that I skipped the reverse light wires, and I'm going to jump the license plate hot wire to the running light wires. So the license plate light will work, the third brake light will work, I just won't have the reverse lights. And you can put that in if you choose to. You just grab another color wire and run it. I went ahead and moved on to the front side. I continued with the wired colors that we needed for the blinkers, and then I added gray and white for the high-low beam and the brown one for the fans. And then we got a red and purple. The purple will be to activate the starter, and the red will be the power to the key. So that just leaves me taking it out, actually taping it up and looming it, and then putting it back into the car and clamping it in. I'm not gonna put any connectors on any of these wires until we get to the point where we actually need them because I do not want them cut too short. I left them plenty long for a reason, And once it is taped up and loomed, we can come back and trim absolutely everything just perfect, and it will look ideal. All right, so we just got back from Harbor Freight, and it was $23. We got wire loom and electrical tape. If you don't have solder or a soldering iron, it'll probably cost you about another $15 if you want to build your own harness like I am. We are fully soldered in and taped up. Now we just need to wire loom it. All right, you guys, I'm not real sure where I left off, but we got the car on the lift, and we are about ready to get the motor and tranny back together. We got the fittings that we needed, and we got the hose that we needed. We got our slave cylinder already fitted up with a couple fittings. I'm gonna go ahead and make some hoses, and we will get this thing wrapped up and slam it in the car. Hopefully everything checks out. So for $20 on eBay, I picked up a 4AN fitting and 10-foot of hose kit. This is a fitting for the bleeder. And then the Evil Energy one is the fuel rail quick connects. I had to use up the ones that I had. These are about $14 on Amazon. And as one would have it, this is not the right fitting, so we're gonna have to go to Ace Hardware or somewhere of the similar and get a couple fittings to go from 1/8 inch to, I don't know what size this is. It's no big deal, but it's just a couple extra dollars here or there, and the nickel and diming is what adds up in one of these projects. So I'm trying to keep it minimal, and that was a mistake made on me. I should have did more research on it before I ordered it. I did not. So I went ahead and made the lines, and I measured it all again. There's an 1/8 inch of play between everything, which I believe was really close to the specs that they were calling for. And then I decided I was just gonna give it a whirl, see if I could get the two to just pop together. I've been talking about it all day. I've been saying how it's gonna fight me, but I'm not letting it gonna break me because it's just gonna fall right into place. And what do you know, it fell literally right into place. I gave it one twist, it went in. I gave it another twist, it went in again. So, sorry for the motion sickness. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten a couple bolts in it, and then we can get it back in the car and continue our journey. Believe it or not, this is the first time this drive shaft is going in fully, and I hope we clear this nut. We should, but you never know. Uh-oh, now we're hitting everything else. Well, back to the drawing board. Motor, tranny, back in. We put a nut on. Drive shaft is in for the first time since it's been fully built, and it looks great. I gotta get the rest of the bolts in, but there's not a whole lot of clearance. Well, another day in the books. I gotta get this thing taken care of, but I forgot to tighten motor mount bolts, so I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those up quick, and then I'm gonna go change out of my pajamas. Our fuse box mounted in here, and our wires zip tied up out of the way. So for the fuse box, all I did was drill some holes and then stick the bolt in from the other side, and then put a nut on before the fuse box to space it on this uneven part, and then spin a nut on the outside, and it is fully secured in. Right now, I am adding in the accessory to fuse box wire for the key, and I want to talk about this real quick. So in our generic wire kit, we didn't get any wires with stripes or nothing. They're just solid colors. So instead of using 2 red wires to the key, one for the power, one for the accessory, I went ahead and marked this one with a black stripe. And this is a whatever works to get the job done moment. I'm gonna show you how I did it. So a while back, I got a magnet from Harbor Freight for being an inside track member, and I cut some plate washers for fuel cells, and then I ended up not using them, but I took 2 of them and I spaced them for the wire, and then I put the angle on and I ran it through and just used a Sharpie to make the mark and pulled it all the way through to the end. With the newly striped wire, I ran it through the loom all the way over down to the fuse box, and that will hook into So I took the newly striped wire, ran it down the column into the loom down to the fuse box, and it will plug into the main power down in the bottom there. And that pretty much completes the harness. I gotta go through and connect it to the fuse box, put connectors on, connect it to the lights and stuff like that. Once I get this harness wrapped up and connected to the car, I will go ahead and start on the engine harness and connecting that. So wrapping up this video, I'm going to button this up, and then in the next one, we are going to button up the motor area a little bit, put the intake and stuff on it, and possibly get some of the fuel system plumbed in. I do have to get a couple more fittings for it, but we should be able to get the harness on and plug it in fully, and we'll go over how to hook that up into this car. And then hopefully in the video after that one, we should be ready to rock and roll on the dash, get some gauges in it, and hopefully button up a little bit of an interior. I'm not going to roll cage it right away. I want to drive it around and make sure that the clutch is going to work and stuff like that before I put the car out of commission for another week. I hope you enjoyed the update on the Mazda. I was pretty upset in the last video. We're going to fix that. It's just going to be at the end.